Hi everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to a bookish video. So today we are doing our mid-year freakout tag, which is where we basically do a check-in with our readings 6 months into the year just to see how we're going. And you know what? Doing this has made me realise that I haven't had any standout books this year so far. Like normally by this point, I found maybe 1 or 2 books that I'm like, yeah, that's definitely going on my best books of the year or my worst books of the year. But this year, it's all been kind of like, okay, nothing outstanding. So I did struggle with a couple of these questions, but let's get into it. I will see if I can link the original creators of this tag, but I believe it's quite an old one, so if I can't quite find the information, I will leave like links to other people who have done these tags, just so you can check out a few more people who are doing this. So question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2021. And as I say, nothing has really stood out. I've had a couple of 5 stars. I've been a bit stingy with my 5 stars this year, I must admit. Like, I've been waiting for that, wow, this is amazing kind of books. And I've only had a handful. But then out of those handful of 5-star books, there was none that was like, yeah, this was the best one of the 5 stars. So I kind of went with the one that I kind of feel the proudest of completing, and that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Now, this was a 5 stars for me. I really enjoyed this. However, it wasn't one that was like blowing my socks off kind of thing. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was great. I loved the plots, the intrigue, the revenge, the characters. I really did. I enjoyed listening to the audiobook of this because the narrator was very good with his French accents, and gave each character a different accent, so I was able to differentiate between the different characters as well, which really helped. And I really did enjoy this. But it doesn't stand out as like the best book, you know what I'm saying? But I am proud that I finished her because she big. The next question is best sequel you've read so far. Now, there was 2 and I couldn't decide between them, so I'm going to show you both. The first one is A Vanishing of Griffins by S.A. Patrick. This is the sequel to A Darkness of Dragons. I love that book. Bava, you have my heart, and this book didn't disappoint in the sequel, so I absolutely love these books. If you have not read A Darkness of Dragons, please pick it up. I know not everybody has loved it to the extent that I have, but honestly, it's a Pied Piper kind of story, and it's just so different, and I loved it, and the humour in this is just spot on my type of humour. I love it. But you will be seeing this book again in a moment or 2. So, yes. The second book that I just couldn't choose between is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to King of Scars in the Grishaverse sort of series. So Leigh Bardugo created this Grishaverse world, and you have the first trilogy, which is the Shadow and Bone trilogy, which is currently on Netflix at the moment, and then she has the Six of Crows duology, which has Kaz and Inej and Jesper and all of them, and then she has the King of Scars duology, and this is the second book to that King of Scars duology. I love this. I actually just finished this in June, which is when I'm filming this, and so you will hear more of my thoughts on this in my June wrap up, which will be coming beginning of July. I don't know if it'll go up before or after this video, but one of the two. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and the reason being is because the King of Scars duology focuses more on my girl Nina. She is my favourite character out of the whole Grishaverse. Nina is my jam. I love her to bits, and she features more in the King of Scars duology than in any of the other books. So this is why the King of Scars duology is now my favourite in the Grishaverse series. So yes, love them. So yeah, this was this and this and Vanishing of Griffins were my favourite sequels for the year so far. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read but want to, and for that I'm going to go with House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This has just been released, I think either May or June, and look at it, look at it. This will also feature later, but this is a kind of horror fantasy kind of thing. It says on it, because Hotkey books do this sort of like what's in it clues at the back, and it says glamour, horror, unraveling clues to, and somewhere unknown. And I'm like, give me more. Like, I'm not really into horror, but this intrigues me. So this is about the Hollow sisters, and they disappeared as children only to reappear a month later with no memory of what happened to them. But then when Grey, the eldest, goes missing again, the 2 younger sisters are left to figure out the mystery, but they're not the only ones looking for their sister. So yes, it's so intriguing and I'm so excited for it. But I'm leaving it for October because I feel like this is going to be one hell of a spooky season read. And some friends of mine who have read this book recently said, yes, do wait for October. It will be so much better. So I want to read her so desperately, but she has to bide her time and be read at the right time of the year. So yes, House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. The next question is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and no hesitation, Adam 2 by Alistair Chisholm. If you don't know, I loved Orion Lost last year by Alistair Chisholm. It is my favourite book of 2020. Hands down, no questions asked. That book was just the bomb for me. I think I read it at the right time. I read it around the time that my mental health wasn't the best, and the message that was in Orion Lost really hit home to me, and that is, you are the master of your own ship. You cannot control the seas around you or the weather, but what you can control is how you steer your ship through those stormy seas. And that message, I needed to hear that, and I want a tattoo for Orion Lost because that book means so much to me. So when I heard that Alistair Chisholm had another book coming out, and I believe it's coming out in July or August, I want to say, I think it's August, and it's called Adam 2. It's another sci-fi, it's another children's sci-fi, and I can't wait. I cannot wait. I've been seeing people get like ARC copies of this, and I'm like, what do I have to do? Where do I sell my soul to for that book? Because to get my hands on an ARC copy of that, I would die. I would actually die. I would drop everything that I was currently reading and just pick that one up because I cannot wait. So that is my most anticipated for the second half of the year. Number 5 is my biggest disappointment, and for that I can't hold you up a book because I've already unhauled it. It is the My Soul to Take series by Rachel Vincent, I want to say. No, was it? I can't remember. Anyway, if it wasn't, I'll put the actual author's name here. Me and Charlotte were buddy reading the first 3 books in that series because we both had the physical copies. We both loved that first book, My Soul to Take. We thought it was brilliant. We both gave it, I think, 4 stars. And then we carried on and went to book 2 and book 3. And oh dear Lord, how it dropped. It dropped down to a 3 stars to me, and then I unhauled the books because that had so much potential, this story of banshees and grim reapers, and then it turned into a manual for what teenagers should and should not do. And this incessant thing of I mustn't tell anybody what is happening because I don't know. Like the young girl, the main female protagonist, she wouldn't tell her parents, she wouldn't even tell her best friend what was happening, even though her best friend was in danger of what was happening. I don't know, because she was trying to protect them. I mean, can we get over that trope in books, please? Because it's stupid and ridiculous. I mean, I can understand her not wanting to tell her parent because, like, kids never want to tell parents when anything's going wrong, do they? But to not tell your best friend, I mean, that was just ridiculous and stupid. And it was kind of like, I don't even know why it did that. And it was such a disappointment because the first book was so good and had such potential. And then it flopped. It really flopped. The next question is biggest surprise, and for that one it's another June read, so you're going to see some of these very, very soon again, and that is If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. And the reason why this is a big surprise is because this is a contemporary, and this is not only contemporary, but it's a kind of slice of life kind of contemporary. Nothing major happens in this book. There's no climatic ending, there's no build up to tension, there's no cliffhanger, it's just their lives. 4 women in South Korea, in Seoul, I believe, contemporary Seoul, a place where plastic surgery is as routine as getting a haircut. So these 4 women, they're friends, and one of them works in a room salon where they entertain wealthy businessmen. One of them is a hairdresser, but she's mute after a violent attack when she was younger. And it's just the story of these girls' lives. And I picked this book up because I wanted to kind of diversify my reading and read books about characters from different cultures so I could educate myself a little bit more. I mean, how much you can educate yourself from a fictional story, I don't know. But I just wanted to diversify my reading a bit. And a slice of life story is not my thing. I get bored generally with slice of life stories. I want something to happen. I want drama. I want trauma. I want you know, to hit the fan, you know? But this didn't do that. But yet I found myself so delved into these women's lives. I was entranced by them, and yeah, I loved it. It was so surprising to me because this is, on paper, this is everything that I don't like in a book, and I loved it. So yeah, If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. Number 7 is my favourite new author. Now for this one, okay, I read book 1 in the series back in 2020, but at that point I'd only read 1 book by the author, so I couldn't say that they were my new favourite author because I'd only read 1 book and enjoyed it. How can I know if they're my new favourite author unless I've read a couple of books? Well, now I've read a few more books, and I'm talking about Rochelle Mead, the author of the Vampire Academy series. I have been reading these through the library, which is why we have a shiny cover, and I've been thoroughly enjoying them. So yeah, she writes this story about the Strigoi, the Moroi and the Dampiers in the Vampire Academy. Apparently it's based on Russian and Romanian folklore and myths. So that's where she's got these Moroi and Strigoi vampires, the two different types, and then the Dampiers who protect the Moroi and fight the Strigoi vampires. So I got a little bit more background information kind of thing, which makes me kind of want to look up some more Romanian like myths and folklore. But yeah, I've really been enjoying the Vampire Academy series. I'm inching towards wanting to pick up my own copies so I can reread them again in the future. But I want to finish the series first before I make that decision. But if I do find a box set of all the books at a reasonable price, I may be convinced a little sooner. So yes, my new favourite author is Rochelle Mead. Newest fictional crush. Now, I'm not one for crushing on characters unless they're animals. If they're cute animals, like Bava last year, like, be still. So I'm going to go back to A Vanishing of Griffins, because In a Darkness of Dragons, the first book, which I read back in 2019 and reread again in January this year, I loved Bava. In A Vanishing of Griffins, we have Dunder. Dunder and Mrs. Larkweather. Now, I'm not going to say too much about who Dunder is, but I love him. I love him so much. Please, 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 I'm begging S.A. Patrick, not that you're going to watch this video at all, but please, S.A. Patrick, please, can we see Dunder again in book 3? I would really like for him to come back. I love Dunder. And I'm just gonna, no, I can't spoil it for you, but honestly, even if you just gave the first book 3 stars, please try and read book 2, because it's a beautiful book and I love it, and you're gonna love Dunder. Dunder. The next question is my newest favourite character. Now you could say Dunder and Mrs. Larkweather, but I don't want to repeat myself, so I had to think about this one. And I'm going to turn to, again, another June read. Can you tell that I was looking at what I'd recently read? My memory's pants. The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I'm going to say Puddleglum from The Silver Chair. He's just adorable. He's such a miserable, like, he's so pessimistic, like, he is ready for everything to go wrong. And he's just so adorable. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. So he looks a bit like a scarecrow. Can you see him? And he's just so miserable. And he's always waiting for something to go wrong. And he's just adorable. He's so cute. So yeah, Puddleglum from The Silver Chair by C.S. Lewis. Moving on to the next question, a book that made you cry, and it has got to be The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. I'd seen a lot of people reading this who suffer with mental health issues like I do, and they've all said the same thing. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful story, one that people with mental health issues kind of need to hear. And I was fine. Until it was this bit, which might be a spoiler. So if you haven't read this and you don't want to be spoiled, then, you know, just mute me until the book goes down. But it says, "What's your best discovery?" asked the mole. "That I'm enough as I am," said the boy. And that hit me. That hit me so hard, because one of my issues with my mental health is the feeling that I am useless, that I am not good enough, that I am inadequate, that I'm pathetic, and that no one actually cares about me or what I have to say. Like, I'm shocked, like, you even watch my videos. But I constantly feel inadequate and worthless. And when I read that, tears and lump to my throat, it broke me. So yes, this book made me cry. But on the flip side of that, a book that made you happy, again, it's another June book. I'm sorry, but it's The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is can you see all my tabs? This is a beautiful illustrated edition by Alan Lee, who was he worked on the films, and yeah, it's a beautiful illustrated edition. Let me see if I can find you one of the illustrations. So like that. It's absolutely stunning. And the reason why this made me happy is because this has so many memories attached to it. I read The Hobbit back in my early 20s, and at the time that I was reading it, my oldest daughter was about 1.5, 2 years old. And one night she asked me to read her a bedtime story, but I was kind of just getting into The Hobbit at the time for myself in my own reading. And I kind of didn't want to put the book down. So I said, well, shall I read you this one? Not this copy. It was an older copy that I had and I don't have anymore. So I read her The Hobbit, and she really got into it. She was really enjoying it because I was putting on voices and things, you know, as you do with parents. As parents. And I read my 2-year-old The Hobbit. And so as I was reading this book this month in June, it was just bringing a smile to my face, just remembering sitting and reading bedtime stories to my daughter, and how we would have a bit of a cuddle on the bed, and we were just, I miss those times. I miss that closeness, of being there all the time for my daughter, because my daughter is now 21. She doesn't need me as much. I mean, she will still come and jump on the bed if she pops around to see me and I'm still in bed. She'll jump on the bed and climb in, but it's what daughters do with their mums. So yeah, this did bring me like happy memories thinking of that. But also as well, I bought this copy as well as the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It came all in a box set together as a gift to myself after my cat passed away last year. About this time, he passed away on the 30th of June in 2020. It was very sudden, was very unexpected. It was an emergency trip to the vets and nothing could be done to help him. And so we sadly had to put him to sleep. But I although I miss him and I do feel very emotional about missing him, the memories of him do put a smile on my face. And again, as I'm reading this, and I know this was my gift to myself to kind of cheer myself up after he passed, it makes me think of my boy Ringo. And that just makes me smile as well. So this isn't particularly the book itself that made me smile, but it's the memories associated with it that made me smile. And I think that has to count. That has to count, doesn't it? Because some books are just sentimental, and this one, The Hobbit, really is for me. So that's that one. And the next question is the most beautiful book you've bought this year. Now, I could hold up numerous books from my Fairy Loot boxes because all those books are absolutely stunning. One that I did get from Fairy Loot, but not in an actual box, but as one of their books that you can buy through their fairy trove, was City of Spells by Alexander Christo. And this is the second book to, what was it called? Into the Crooked Place. So I bought Into the Crooked Place through Fairy Loot from their fairy trove, and then I also bought City of Spells this year, and it's stunning because of those edges. It's just beautiful. It's nothing underneath the jacket like, you know, their book boxes box, but yeah, that sprayed edges, that cover, stunning. The reason why I bought Into the Crooked Place and City of Spells by Alexander Christo via Fairy Loot is because I didn't like the published book in the normal copies, like for the rest of the public. Do you know what I mean? That would be sold in other bookshops. I didn't like the design of the cover, whereas Fairy Loot kind of redesigned the covers and gave them special covers and the sprayed edges, and I like these better, so I bought this, and this blue is stunning. So yes, that's a pretty book. But then I also want to say House of Hollow. I mean, this face. Some people say it's creepy. I think it's stunning. I mean, it's just the flowers, just the bugs. I've just noticed the bugs. Ugh. Okay, it's creepy. It is creepy. I've just noticed the bugs. But it's beautiful. It is beautiful. But then also I have to mention Rainbow Grey by Laura Ellen Anderson. This was a new purchase for me, and it's got a rainbow. It's got a rainbow painted on the edges. How cool is that? And then just that. This is stunning. This is just beautiful. This is a middle grade book. And yeah, it has another booktuber in it. It has Gav from How to Train Your Gavin in as one of the characters. So yeah, I think this is stunning. It's beautiful. I love the artwork on it. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that are the three books that I think are very beautiful and pretty that I have bought recently. And then the final thing is, what books do you need or want to read by the end of the year? I have lots to choose from. I want to get to Fortuna Sworn. I want to get to Amari and the Night Brothers. I want to get to, let's have a look. The Devil in the Dark Water. There's V.E. Schwab's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The Lost Apothecary. These are some books that I have recently purchased, and I want to read them, but it's whether Bookgammon lets me, to be honest. Bookgammon basically chooses my books for me and puts in massive books like Eye of the World instead of quick and easy books like The Lost Apothecary. So yeah, it's basically whatever Bookgammon lets me read, but I have a lot to choose from. So all of the books, I want to get to all of the books. I mean, I do want to finish Death Note. this year, so I still have volume 6 to read, so I would like to read that before the end of the year. I would like to finish the Walking Dead compendium because I did start that and I would like to finish it before the end of the year. I would like to finish the Spellslinger series. I only have 2 books left to read and I would like to read them, but I have to purchase them first. So yeah, there's a couple of books that I want to read. There's loads of books. I could go on for decades with the number of books I have. I will not be getting to TBR 0 this year, that is for certain. I don't think I'll get to TBR 0 next year either, with the number of unread books on my shelves. So yeah, so that is it. That is my mid-year freak out tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in doing this tag as well, consider yourself tagged. Tag you are it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!